And everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Diamond Report. Got me and Jason here. Got Dudley on the other side here. Hang with us. Both have been sick, both on the mend. I promise we're going to get you through this. We're going to get you everything that you need to know coming up for this weekend. And I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Dudley, how's it going, man? Can't hear you.
All right, now can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, I was saying that, as you know, I've had a great weight loss program going this week with the norovirus.
Yeah.
Lost 10 to 12 pounds. So you can probably tell from looking at me, I'm not feeling that great, and actually going to be covering the games from home today because I don't want to get anybody else sick in the press box.
Yep.
And really, I don't have much energy, but, of course, first week of the season, huh?
Yeah.
But
Doing
luckily, all of the games, our viewers should know all the games are on SEC Network Plus all weekend. So as long as you have a smart TV, you'll be able to watch them. If you don't have a smart TV, I'm asking why.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, it for me last night after I did the podcast with Otis, and I was starting to feel a little bit like, oh, this is going to be coming on a little bit, and had some post nasal drip going on. I know some TMI, but all of a sudden, man, I tell you, it just kind of like boom, it hit me. That was it last night. Took some Nyquil and woke up. I had a somewhat of a voice, but not very much of one, and now we're just kind of dealing with it.
Well, we'll all get through. Doubleheader is
Yeah,
to get things started today. I know that the players, coaches, fans are excited. Fans are maybe a little less since it's going to be so cold outside. But they're adjusted the schedule a little bit. It was going to be at two tomorrow, and they bumped it up to one because the weather's supposed to get worse as the day goes along tomorrow. And then Sunday,
yeah.
obviously, somewhere in the 30s, 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So they've completely
Oof.
moved that game, obviously, to today, to today's second game. And then you've got the series finale at noon on Monday. And obviously, you've got the undefeated Razorback softball team in action as well tonight with a couple of games tonight, a couple of games tomorrow.
I I was talking to Otis about this last night. I want to ask you, if it gets rained out tomorrow, is there a possibility of them doing a doubleheader on Monday?
I think the thing would be with that they're set for noon, and I think that's probably because they're going to catch a flight out of XNA. So I'm guessing that they would probably only be able to get in three games because of some curfew getting on the flight. But I'm sure we'll find that out as the weekend goes along because it's going to be iffy, as they say.
That is true. That is really true too. And I want to also extend congratulations to Coach Stifle and the softball team going 5-0 last weekend. They got five more this weekend in Ruston, Louisiana. You've got Southern Miss, La Tech, and ULM, which they have a doubleheader with ULM and La Tech today, 4 and 6 p.m. I'm excited to see what they're able to do down in Louisiana.
Yeah, you saw some veterans come through big. Obviously, Bree Ellis, Courtney Day, who actually took a year off and then transferred in here, and obviously Ella McDowell, Cam Harrison, so many others contributed. Reagan Johnson, and obviously, you were able to depend on Robin Heron on the mound. Started a
Yeah.
couple of games, and Peyton Burnham came in and pitched well. So they are obviously off to a good start. You can tell by the smile on their faces and their coaches' faces how good they feel about you know things are. But and they got tested a little bit. Had to come from behind in that last game to beat San Diego, so
They
that
did.
was probably good for them to cap off the weekend that way.
And they were, like you said, they were tested. They actually had I can't remember who it was, made a run on them at the end of the game. They had second and third with one out, up by one, and they were able to shut the door.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't tested in the 23-0 game that they had, but that was good. They were able to get everybody some playing time, some at bats. get everybody in the lineup. So I'm sure that was good for morale on the trip. As you know, everybody wants to play. Everybody's worked hard and practiced and looked forward to getting in action. And so that was a good way to get the weekend started. And now I don't know how balmy it is in Louisiana, but we'll see. Yeah, the last time I saw a picture of Louisiana, somebody was skiing down Canal Street. So
That's crazy. Man, oh man. So with today's game, 12 o'clock, first pitch, Gabe Gackel's out there. Everybody's really anticipating it. I know that there was an interview with Zach Root talking about that there is a possibility that this might be the best pitching staff in America. The, I know that there's a lot of folks that have kind of started to really buy into that part of it. I want to see what they're able to do on the mound, though, because we can sit there and talk about it all day long, but they have to execute.
yeah, and I've been very effusive in my praise of this baseball team, and I think they do have a very balanced staff, left, right. I mean, they're going to do that this weekend, go right, left in these 4 games if they're able to play all of them. Have some great components in the bullpen, have a lot of arms that they can pigeonhole into different innings and such. But I know Zach's excited. Zach's like Dak Prescott, saying they're so close to that Dallas is so close to getting into a Super Bowl and all that. You want your quarterback, you want your pitchers to have that confidence, but sometimes things are better left unsaid, and that's one of them. But yeah, he's excited, and he's part of a contingent there. There's 3 of them that have been on somebody's All-American team. And that doesn't even include Gage Wood, who is getting to start this weekend and really appears to be coming into his own. He had one bad outing last week, but the rest of his outings in the fall and the spring, if we're going to call it the spring, I guess I should call it the preseason, have been really good. And he looks like he is ready to come into his own. So I don't know about best in the country. Certainly don't even know about best here at Arkansas. But I do feel this way. I do feel it's a better staff than it was last year. And I say that after seeing how last year's staff ended, not how they started.
Give me just a second here. I'm trying to.
I do think that Zach is an important pickup for them. Both of the 2 left-handers, that's something you need for balance, especially in the starting lineup. And they're obviously going to have only 3 games most weekend, whether Landon Beetlecheese goes to the bullpen or Gage goes to the bullpen. One of those guys, will have the opportunity, I guess, to also start, in the midweek. But I think you're going to see guys like Colin Fisher, Ben Bobby, those guys be some midweek guys, some really good midweek guys that the teams that they're facing in the midweek won't really want to see.
There was some feedback that was, I think it's coming through. And if it is, let me know. I'm trying to work on my end over here. So I can kind of hear myself in the background.
Now you're sounding fine coming through here at least.
Okay. If it's not any better, y'all let me know, and I'll get some all this mess taken care of as well. So, I want to see what some of these freshmen are able to do. We're going to see them this weekend. If we get 3 games in, 4 games in, whatever happens, I want to see what they're able to do, because I think that they are going to have maybe not so much a profound effect on the team this year, but I think that there's going to be spots where they're going to have to come through.
Yeah, and I think most people who follow Arkansas baseball are pretty knowledgeable about the game. They know that nobody has gone more than 65 pitches so far. They're in 5 innings. So you don't expect to see, the starters go 7 or 8 this weekend. They're definitely not in cold weather going to try to stress them out pitching wise. Just going to get them to, probably that mark, that 60, 65, 70, somewhere in there. Over however many innings. Obviously, it's a big deal whether they're stress innings or not. Gabe Gack will obviously start in the first game. Zach Root start in the second game. Wood in the third, and Beetlecheese in the third. And I'm glad I finally learned how to pronounce that right. Beetlecheese. It's a lot easier when they started calling him Cheeks, which is, I guess, his nickname. But as you mentioned, the freshman pitchers, one of them who won't pitch this weekend, I don't think, but will come pretty soon is Hunter Dietz. They're very excited about him. Thought he was one of their best pitchers. And then I guess he only got 2 innings last year, and because of an injury that he had before, and then an injury that he got after those 2 innings. They're very excited about him. Think he's got the opportunity to be a pro down the line. Obviously, you're looking at Carson Wiggins. They used him as a closer last weekend in one of the scrimmages, but it's one of those things that I think they're going to bring him along, get him some innings, maybe in middle relief. It could possibly be a closer down the end. Christian Fouch, obviously, is somebody who can be in that role as well, and was on the award watch list for closer, college closer of the year. So one of those things that as you said, we're anxious to see him. It's got a lot. Ross Felder has done a good job.
Yeah.
As a guy who has the opportunity to do some really good things for them, and they've trotted a lot of guys out there in these scrimmages. We've got the opportunity, if you've been at those scrimmages, to see the stuff that they have. And the overall thing, and I'm going to say this, and you watch them walk 20 in the doubleheader today, but they've been able to really keep the ball in the strike zone. There haven't been a ton of walks. That's something that you saw a lot in scrimmages the last year and really the year before that, and that's been a noticeable difference and something I think they've really concentrated on. You don't necessarily want to pitch to contact, but you do want to pitch to strikes, and you don't want to give up those free bases, and that has been something that clearly has been focused on in the off season.
I think it's important for them to also keep the ball in the ground this weekend. Whenever it's cold outside, the ball does not fly very well. We all know that. I think it's important that they do keep it on the ground. I think that's what Dave has also wanted to do in the offseason, is maybe not have so much of the fly ball that we've seen maybe in some of these scrimmages, to keep it on the ground so that way it's in play and give them a chance to get on base more.
Yeah, and you've got a really good infield there. You're going to start. It looks like Brennan Iredale at third base, Guilloy at shortstop, Nolan Souza at second, and then a first baseman to be determined. They haven't exactly told us who's going to start over there. Michael Anderson, Rocco Pepe, Kendall Diggs have all played some over there. I'm sure it's going to be one of those three guys. Cam Cozil is a guy who might be a focus down there. He's started to hit really well lately, and he's kind of blocked with the with Nolan Souza having such a great fall and preseason. But that's a pretty solid infield. They've got some good backups to throw in there as well. And ground balls, as you said, have been a focus, and they are for any pitcher and any team. Much fewer things can go wrong if the ball's hit to you on the ground than they can if it's hit in the air.
I think it's interesting to look at what Nolan did over the summer. He didn't go over to the Woodbat League up in the Cape Cod League. He went over to the West Coast. He stayed kind of where he was used to.
Out in the Redwoods.
Yep. And I feel like he still was able to take as much from that as maybe, say, for instance, a Ryder Helfrich or Brett Anderson or Villoy, and take that and still translate it into some positive things here in Fayetteville.
Yeah, I think his big thing was obviously he lost some confidence down the stretch. He was 6 of 37. It was a combination, I think, of him trying to over-adjust at the plate and also have a little pressure that if he didn't hit, he wasn't going to be in the lineup. That's not something he has to worry about this year. He's going to be solidified at second base going into the year. He's going to get at bats. He's going, no matter where they hit him, and he could very well hit the top of the lineup, but I suspect he's going to hit somewhere around 6. He's going to be a force down there. And this is a guy who, I think the biggest thing that fans will notice that's different about him this year is he is just running wild. He is one of the fastest guys on the team. I think he was 10 out of 12 in stolen bases 10 out of 12 in the fall, and I think 18 out of 22 overall. a guy who, and he was going first to third a lot. And that's, I think we've talked about that. That's going to be a lot different this year for Arkansas fans to see. They're going to infuse some small ball into being able to hit some home runs. And the small ball doesn't necessarily mean bunts. It can also mean hitting and running. It can also mean just putting runners into motion. And in fact, I remember Sousa getting what was I thought was a hit and run, but it was actually a run and hit, which is different. If you see the ball, you hit it. But if it's not going to be a good pitch, you let the guy steal. And so, I'm just, you know, again, I sound effusive, and I'm not going to get over my skis, as they say. But I think this is a team that has the potential, and I expect to be better than the one was last year. Definitely at the end of the season.
I think that's what a lot of fans are hoping to see is that this team doesn't lose steam. It seemed like it was right around April 12th, April 15th last year that they kind of peaked, and then after that, it was just a downhill slide from there. I would like to see this team maybe, and I'm not saying lose to lose, but if they do lose a couple here and there between now and the first couple of series of SEC play, it's not the worst thing in the world. That way, that this coaching staff has a way to go back and look and find some things that they can tweak, but give this team some, I guess, confidence, if you will, to carry out the rest of the season. Because I felt like at the end of the season last year, there was no confidence in that clubhouse.
Yeah, and second straight year to lose at home and not get to move on. And obviously the 2022 was such a great year for them, and they were able to do great things on the road of all places, going to beat Oklahoma State, then going to North Carolina. That was a fun first year on the beat for me for Hogville baseball, obviously, and then on to the College World Series. But it's people, you can't diminish winning conference championships, co-conference championships. You can't diminish winning the last Western Division title. You can't diminish winning, what was it, 5 of the last 7, I think, Western Division titles. Even though people think so much about LSU, and they do, LSU's won a national title, and that is the ultimate goal in the end. But everybody remembers what you did at the end, and I think it is something that you would love to say that it's pushing the baseball team this year, but I can't say that too much because there's so many new players.
There are.
I mean, there's 38 active players on the roster, and I think 20, 26, 27, 28 of them are all new, whether it be freshmen, portal transfers, guys who didn't play last year that redshirted that will be on this roster. So I know it is for the coaches, I know it is for the fans, and I know it is for a few players that have been here, but I don't think that's really an extra motivation that's going to get them over. I think it's talent and execution that will be able to get them where they hope to go.
I think there's 3 big questions I think that loom for fans going into this season. You already touched on the first one, which is who's going to be at first base. The next 2, I think, are going to be who is going to be at left field, and can the first base left field position kind of interchange with maybe 3 guys that you discussed earlier. And then the third one is who's going to be the closer.
Yeah, and I think in talking and listening to Coach Van Horn, he has so many different options there. As we said, Christian Phelps really brings it, with the fastball, and he's got some off-speed stuff that when you can have his speed in the fastball, it really screws hitters into the ground. We've talked about Carson Wiggins. He talked about Beetle Cheese, maybe Wood being at the back there and being guys that can go 7, 8, 9 or 8, 9 because they've been groomed to be starters. You've got some other guys back there. Parker Cole could be a guy that comes in situations. He's going to have a situational left-hander.
Yeah.
Whether it's Still Leaves, Parker Cole, some of the other guys they can bring in. They'll mix and match. But, yeah, I'm not sure they'll have a definitive closer right off the bat, but usually you get back and into that situation as the season goes along, as we saw with Gabe Gackle last year.
Is there a possibility that Aiden Jimenez might go to that back end of the bullpen?
Yeah, and that's one of the guys that doesn't get talked about enough. Obviously, the Oregon State transfer that got hurt before the 1 week before the season last year started.
Mhm.
And they didn't know if he was going to be able to pitch this year. Brought him in, get him ready. If he couldn't pitch this year, he'd be able to go at 2026. But he showed up well in the scrimmages during this January and February. He's a guy that I talked to, and they're going to kind of ease him along. He's going to be like spring training as he starts the year, and you'll see him continue to grow. And so, yes, bringing him in a situation late and getting him a certain amount of pitches is something you can do there. And let's be honest, I don't worry so much about Arkansas 1 through 5, and don't worry about them that much in the ninth. But it's always been 6, 7, and 8 that
Yeah.
have been situations where, since here recently, that have been the hardest to get outs, hardest to keep leads. Those are going to be situations they really need to plug, and they're going to be able to throw some people in there during these early games and find out what they've got, against live competition instead of against your teammates.
Yep. And there's a possibility I could see where Dave does have the starter go to maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 innings, and then maybe piecework it between, like you were talking, 6, 7, and 8, and then bringing that closer in. Because at the end of the day, you're wanting to save those arms to the back end of the schedule. Because listen, I know that the last 2 homestands are going to be Texas and Tennessee. Those are not going to be easy gets at all. And so you're wanting to have a run up into the SEC championship or SEC conference tournament. But the thing is that this is where you save those arms right now for the first, I would say, almost month and a half or 2, so that way that you don't see what happened last year.
Yeah, the 16-team conference tournament, which is going to be different than last year. Obviously, there's a different format. You still have to win 5 games total to win it. But, if you're one of the first 4 teams, you really have a break and not having to play the first 2 or 3 days. And but yeah, I mean, we can sit here and dissect it and do a lot of different things, but everybody wants them to be playing well at the end of the year. It's not going to be easy getting tickets for those last 2 series. Not going to be easy getting wins, but should be some very excitement. I don't think there'll be very many vacations taking off there in May, right after school's over, I guess, to get out of town if you're a baseball fan.
That is definitely the case there. But let's talk a little bit about this weekend's matchup instead of the forecasting part that I was trying to do there for a minute. What does Washington State bring to the table that could cause some problems for Arkansas this weekend?
Well, it's interesting. I've tried to do some research on them. We asked Coach Van Horn about a scouting report, and it was one of those things that he didn't know a lot about them. Obviously, in this day and age, when you have such turnover with the transfer portal and people coming in and out, you don't know a lot about them. He does think they have a couple of good pitchers that can bring it, but it's not a team that I think is going to be in the College World Series at the end of the year. It's also not a team you're going to rough up 23-0. They're a quality club, have been over the years. Not a spectacular club, but a quality club, and they were willing to come here and play 4 games. And speaking at the Swatters Club, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now, almost 2 weeks. The Coach Van Horn said there wasn't a lot of schools that wanted to do that, come and play 4 games on the road. Washington State was willing to do that, so they were the ones selected to come here, and obviously they'll get these 4 games if they can in this weekend, and then head to Arlington, where they'll have 3 games next weekend, and then they'll come right back and play the 25th against Grambling. So you've got 8 games in a matter of a little over a week and a half.
One player that I really am excited to see this weekend is Brett Iredale, because he's been knocking the cover off the ball, and I want to see if he's able to, do exactly what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, and also with fall ball too, because I really think that he's somebody that a lot of fans can get behind, because his power kind of reminds me of what Chad Spanberger had.
Yeah, and he's a guy that played shortstop at his junior college, but he's always played third base. That's where he'll play this year. He was born in Sydney, Australia. Enjoyed talking to him. I can tell right away which one it is on my tape recorder. But he's excited because he has not seen his family since May. His mother, dad, brother, and sister are all coming this weekend, are all here now, and we'll be here this weekend. We'll also make the trip to Globe Life to watch him in Arkansas play down there. But he's excited about that. He's a very mature young man, as you might think, being away from home and kind of growing up on the go. Lots of great power. They were very excited. They thought he might get taken in the draft, but luckily his price was more than some of the teams were willing to offer. But I've always been a big time third baseman. Lover of third baseman. Current favorite players: Nolan Arenado. Current player, favorite player of all time is Brooks Robinson, and I've said many times. So I liked Brooks so much I named one of the sons after him. I'm excited to see what Brett's going to do. He certainly has the capability. He hit 42 home runs, drove in nearly 142 runs in his 2 years at Arizona Junior College. It is a guy that they really think can be a great plug for them in the lineup.
You think about it, Arkansas's had really good third basemen over the last 5 years. You had Caden Wallace, now Jared Sprague-Lott, now you've got Brett Iredale. And whenever you look at that, that is really a spot on the diamond where some teams have trouble filling because they don't have that quality player. But Arkansas's had that quality player now for the last few years, and I think that fans have really kind of been really spoiled.
Yeah, and as I've watched the scrimmages in the fall and in this preseason, they have been pretty solid defensively. Certainly, there have been a few errors, a few missed throws, but for the most part, it's been pretty solid defensively. And I think that's sometimes an overlooked deal. Everybody's about offense, home runs, that sort of thing. But I think that is, as you look out there at the defense this year, I think it's going to be solid. Certainly in the outfield, they can definitely go and get it more in the outfield than they did last year. Again, I'm not trying to diminish the ability of the outfield last year, but there's a lot more athleticism out there this year. They can get to more balls. If they'll catch them, that's that's the key. But they can definitely cover more ground out there.
Yep, yep. Want to go heavy baseball just because it's opening weekend, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun out there at the park this weekend. So make sure if you guys are going out there, bundle up. It's going to be stinking cold for the most part. So take all the precautions you can. If not, like Dudley said, you can watch all these games on ESPN Plus and at the comfort of your house. So
It's been a long,
Dudley,
long time since I've missed a home opener, but just like the baseball team, I've got to think about the long term, not the short term, and I'll have every pitch on here this weekend. So excited, and you and I will be bringing them some stuff.
yep, yep, sure will. And also, my question is Oliver going to actually open the windows up in the press box today? He talked about it, so I don't know.
I'm going to leave that up to Oliver, but there might have been a fight if he'd have tried to do it and I had come.
I
I
don't
like
know.
look those youngsters, man, in the press box. They don't mind whether the lights are on or the windows up or down. But it's older scribes, me, Grant Hall, Mike Irwin, some of the other older guys that come out there. Matt Jones, you're about to fall in that category, by the way. The we like it. We like light. We like warmth.
Yeah, because you're the only guy that I know of that's up in the press box that got a heater or a cooler. So I'm telling you what, you got the right idea.
It's sitting over here by me. Just because I'm not going to be outside, I'll still have it.
Well, Dudley, let's get you out of here, man. Got baseball here roughly less than an hour now. So
Yep.
if you guys want, tune into ESPN Plus, or you can listen to Phil and Bubba on the call, and we
Or
will see
both,
you.
which is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, or at the house.
Yeah,
Or at the
combination
house.
of both. Yeah.
So y'all take care, and we will see you next Friday, 10:30 a.m. for the Arkansas Diamond Report. For Dudley, I'm Jason. Y'all take care, and go Hogs.